And now, for our fourth speaker, code 4109, with their speech, Drink Me, Shrink Me.
You might not know it, but this year marks the 160th anniversary of Alice in Wonderland, the iconic story turned novel, turned movie, turned Jefferson Airplane acid trip, turned Tim Burton nightmare fuel. Over time, Alice's absurd adventure has started to feel less like fantasy and more like foreshadowing. I mean, think about it. We learned about vaping from a caterpillar, gaslighting from the Cheshire Cat, and let's be honest, when Alice drinks a mystery potion labeled Drink Me, shrinks to fit society's demands, and spends the rest of the story trying to make sense of her own body, she might have been ahead of her time. Because today, thanks to GLP-1s, that magic shrinking potion isn't just a metaphor, it's medicine. Drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, and Mounjaro, known as GLP-1 receptor agonists, are literally reshaping the world around us, with users reporting a 15 to 25% reduction of their body weight. This single class of pharmaceuticals has resulted in what Gallup's 2025 National Health and Well-Being Index calls the first decline of US obesity in decades, which is why GLP-1s may be a winning hand for healthcare and the economy, or it might just be another card in the deck, constantly stacked against plus-size people. So today, let's start by diving down the rabbit hole of GLP-1 science. We'll inject some applications before finally resizing our understanding with their implications. Because with the use of these medications, we have the ability to end obesity within a single generation. But that raises a deeper question. Should we? Yes, GLP-1 sounds like Elon Musk's 15th born child. But it actually stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, a naturally occurring hormone that helps regulate glucose and appetite. They were originally developed to treat type 2 diabetes, but during research in the early 2000s, scientists discovered something unexpected. According to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, when taken by injection once weekly, patients were losing significant weight and showing a dramatic reduction in the key glucose markers linked to diseases of the heart, pancreas, kidneys, and brain. All of them. See, we all produce this hormone naturally, but the breakthrough is that increasing the body's dose upgrades your system in 3 key ways. First, they target hunger signals in the brain and dial them way down, making your brain say you're not hungry. Second, they slow digestion so you stay full longer. And third, they improve insulin sensitivity and lower blood sugar to boost your metabolism. It doesn't change your willpower, it changes your wiring. But for some, it's the first time they feel like their biology is working with them instead of against them. The same drug reducing risk for some of the most debilitating and costly chronic conditions like kidney failure and Alzheimer's was also helping patients lose weight. And while the first half of the sentence should have been the headline, the world was far more consumed by the waistline. So, GLP-1s improve mood and help people feel calmer and more regulated. Wait, I think that's just weed. But just like weed in California, these drugs are everywhere. GLP-1s have been featured on the front pages everywhere from People magazine to The Economist, a rare moment of bipartisan enthusiasm in such a divided media landscape. Today, 1 in 12 Americans are actively taking these medications, which might sound like a lot until you realize 4 in 10 adults and 1 in 5 children medically qualify. By conservative estimates, GLP-1s have already driven over 500 million pounds of weight loss in just the United States. To put that in perspective, the average Asian elephant weighs 10,000 pounds, meaning that we've lost more than the combined weight of every Asian elephant alive today. That's a lot of junk in the trunk. But for users, the number isn't the elephant in the room. The feeling is. Let's take a look at how GLP-1s are actually being used and stories the real world is telling us today. This is Dustin. Dustin was overweight and was exhausted all the time. When his children were born, he knew he needed to lose the weight to become a more active part of their lives. Since every other weight loss program had failed time after time, he decided to try GLP-1s. Through their help, he lost 60 pounds and regained his life. He says that being on GLP-1s has turned my life around, and this medication has given me a life with my family. In addition to personal impact, these drugs are decreasing the amount spent on other medical treatments. According to the National Institute of Health, reduced health problems associated with obesity, like heart attack, stroke, and sleep apnea, will save trillions in healthcare costs. Harvard researchers estimate that for every $1 spent on obesity medication, $3.50 is saved in long-term medical costs. Given the scope and impact of these medications, the pharmaceutical industry is experiencing a boom not seen since the introduction of Prozac or Viagra. I wanted to make a joke here, but it was too hard. And with Trump RX's rapid policy shift, the market pushed to lower cost, and the 2026 introduction of the much cheaper GLP-1 pill, we can be certain that, unlike the weight, GLP-1s aren't going away. At this point, it's no longer about whether GLP-1s will stay, but how widely they'll reach. But what if GLP-1s were just like painting the roses red? Because while the result may seem beautiful, they exemplify how our healthcare system works as the thorns beneath remain untouched. The National Library of Medicine points out that today, the United States doesn't regulate ultra-processed food systems, subsidize fresh food access equitably, legislate against predatory marketing, address food deserts, and the list goes on. Our system essentially manufactures disease, and the response is simply to sell the chemical correction as the solution. And while Trump RX is in a rush to make them cheaper through rapid policy shifts, the systemic reasons for high obesity remain untouched. Food is getting more expensive, while drugs are getting cheaper. All we're doing is shuffling the deck. And until we fix the system that makes people sick, no drug will ever make us well. But the deeper implication lies in how GLP-1s may reshape our cultural understanding of obesity as a marker of class or wealth, rather than a complex condition shaped by environment, society, and genetics. And I too have felt this pressure. Living in a world that's told me I was fat since I was 6 years old, I grew up measuring myself against numbers on a scale instead of my own potential. Every classroom seat, every family photo, every glance in the mirror has reminded me that before I was seen as kind, smart, or capable, I was seen as just fat. The weight I carried was never just on my body. It was on my worth. If you lose weight, you're praised. If you stay fat, you're judged. But if you use medication, you're criticized for taking the easy way out. In this new world with GLP-1s, you can't win. And this tension reveals a deeper divide. Some people see obesity as a disease in need of treatment. Others see body diversity as something worth protecting and worry that framing larger bodies as a condition to be cured reinforces decades of stigma and exclusion. But being informed means recognizing that both of these perspectives exist. Because GLP-1s aren't just changing bodies. They're exposing a cultural disagreement about what health, acceptance, and progress should look like. And in the past few decades, we've seen a rise of a movement to embrace body diversity and fat acceptance. And today, this is the body positivity movement. Wait a moment. No, this is the body positivity movement. And while this has been incredibly powerful and positive, the shift to GLP-1s threatens to open a door to a future where we treat body diversity the exact same way that Wonderland treats curiosity, as something to outgrow. Alice's Wonderland story ends with a question. Was it real or just a dream? When it comes to GLP-1s, the answer is both. Because these medications are a magic potion for Medi. But what matters most isn't what it does. It's what comes after. GLP-1s won't vanish anytime soon, and neither will the questions they raise. About access, about equity, and about what it means to be well in a society that still confuses weight with value. Because if we're not careful, we won't just shrink bodies. We'll shrink the spaces we make for difference, for complexity, and even for wonder, land.